Hey everybody, it's Bev Hill with Bev Hill Arts and Crafts, and I may have confused you all with my promos, but we're going to do the demo now, and when I'm done with this in an hour, then I'll rejoin and I'll do my sneak peek for our fun upcoming sale celebrating 4th of July, which has kind of been an annual tradition here at Paper Crafters Purge. So I'm just going to find myself live on camera. It helps me make sure I keep my hands in the camera, but you can see what I'm doing. And I think I found it. Give me 1 second. And it's just now Omaha time, Central Time, 3 o'clock. And I think I have room to move this back just a little bit. I want you to be able to see my painting, you know, what I'm doing with my hands, and see kind of what I do when I grab my paint. Because sometimes I do things that you might see that I don't even think to mention, right? To talk through. I'm just doing it almost intuitively or without thinking. So, oops, I got a couple of my foil papers caught under here. Get out of there. There we go. So I found this really fun technique the other day, and I thought this would be fun to do, and I thought I would layer our techniques of what we did last month with watercolor. And I'm just going to go ahead and get started here. So this is kind of what we're going to do, these 3 cards. So I'll set those off to the side, and we need a little groundwork first. We need to get some of these drying. So I've got a number 12 watercolor brush, and I'm just going to throw some colors on. And I think I'm going to go, I'm feeling yellow today. So I'm going to do, this is what we did last month. We did circles on our watercolor paper. It feels so good to put paint on paper. So this is essentially what we did. I'm going to let that dry, and it might curl a little bit. We'll deal with that. And the other one we did, and I'm going to stick with yellows. I'm feeling happy yellow today. Is, so if I can kind of lay that down. So I'm going to, I've got paint hopefully on the whole brush, so I'm going to lay it to the side and make a wider slosh. And I'm going to make a thinner strip line. Come back and get more of my paint. And maybe a little bit bolder. I might have should have picked a different color for camera. I guess it's showing up pretty good. And again, just kind of getting some of the water here. And again. So in addition, I threw some fancy gold in between these. This is my fancy gold. Looks a little dirty. It's almost gone, but I've bought refills for this. If anybody jumps on and wants to ask what paint palette I'm working with, this is, I bought an empty palette. This was all empty. And then I filled it with a couple different palettes to make one big. This is really pretty, this gold with the yellow. Kind of reminds me of being on the beach. You kind of see some of that shimmery, and it gets more shimmery as the paint dries. Nice, right? All right, so we're gonna let those 2 dry. They're definitely curling. Behind me, I also have an iron and an ironing board. So we're gonna do the same exact thing again, and now I'm feeling purples. So we're gonna start with our circles, but I promise you I do have a new technique. But hopefully this inspires you if you watched last month and you haven't done it, how really simple this is. But what a nice homemade card. These are kind of our warm-ups. We're just getting warmed up. Maybe one there. A hint of a circle. And I like how when I hit the paint with fresh, how bold that is and how there's a variation of color. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and we're going to do one more repeat of our stripe. And then we'll do the foundation of the new technique. So again, I've laid paint through this whole thing, so I'm going to try to get the whole brush across. And a narrower one right there. There we go. And I'm going to come back just to make that a little bit wider. Just different thicknesses in our stripe. It's a real thin one. I think that'll be good. And now we got to come in and add the pretty gold to it in between, so these can be drying. That's why we're doing all this now, is they can dry. And then I think I started to say and didn't finish. Behind me I have a little washcloth for my ironing board, and I have my iron. You know what? I'm going to click those up. Hang on. You're going to hear dinging. All right, so my iron can be heating up so that we'll probably need to iron the back of these panels to do the next step. So I've pre-cut these. So let's talk a little bit about cutting. Woo! I got another color in there. It's just gonna be what it's gonna be. Some of this red leaked into my gold. Let's go get this. Oh, we gotta have the same gold. I wonder if I can clean that out of there. That's just art, right? I'm gonna dry off my brush. Let's see what I've got now. Not the burgundy. Better. All right, instead of fighting that very edge, I'm going to turn this over so I can get that very bottom in gold. Oh, my iron's ready. These aren't ready for it. All right, that's kind of bugging me, so I'm going to see if I can clean that up a little bit. So I've kind of faded it away, and then I'm going to bring some more bold watercolor gold is my goal. And come back over that. There'll be a little residual color, and that's fine. All right, need to set this off to the side. Hi, CJ. This is the new technique, and we need kind of a sky and grass as our foundation. So I'm gonna grab some of this blue, kind of a tealy blue, sky blue. And you can see all I'm doing is taking a watery brush. I didn't even add paint there. I just came back with my brush. And I like it to be a little imperfect. So I'm going to come down to a swoop here and then make maybe a little bit of a hill right down like that. Okay? So I'll pull that up so you can see. I've just kind of made a line, an imaginary landscape. Whoops. Can you see that? We're going to come back. I'm just letting it dry for 1 second, and then I'm going to throw some green at the bottom. Here comes my green. I think I'll start with the lighter green first. I can always, it's easy to add some darker green on top. Just to take just a dab of that green. That wasn't quite as green as I'm going to go up here, almost a primary green. And that's all I'm doing. And I've got a little bit of a blank spot here. The other thing I did, just because I had it, I've got a Kleenex here. I'm going to dab away just a little bit for a hint of clouds. And I guess my fingerprint right there is a hint of clouds. And this needs to dry too, okay? So let's do another landscape while we let that dry. Because from here, let me show you the card that we're going to make. Can you see this little meadow of flowers? That's a little easy technique that we're going to do together. So we're going to do a couple of landscapes just so you get comfortable putting the paint on the background before we do the little, I call them Smoosh Flowers. Easy peasy. All right, so let's get a blue. Let me pick a different blue. I'm going to get this really royal blue. I don't have a clean place here. Right there. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. I guess there is room to have a little bit darker. So instead of such a teal sky, I'm going to have it be a little truer blue. And that's not a bad line. I'm just going to bring this one down this way. Okay. And it's running all over the place, and that's okay with me. I'm going to start with this kind of olivey green this time. And I don't worry that there's different levels of intensity in my color. It's just that easy, really. Because all grass is different when we're outside working, seeing our grass, right? Oh, the heat's getting to it, Lynn. Well, welcome. So now again, I've got this little Kleenex. I'm just going to daub a couple places. There might be the hint of clouds. And then let that dry. So I'm going to show you on the simpler ones the Smoosh Flower technique, and then we're going to do it to make a little meadow. Of course, that one's the oldest. Let's go to the very first one. That's already pretty dry. Right there, it's not quite dry. There we go. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We need a piece of saran wrap, which is why I had this. I've got the piece that I'd cut when I made my demo set, so I'm going to get that out of the way. You don't have to, I'm not going to put anybody through watching me try to cut off a piece of saran wrap. Because that's, I don't know why it's so hard to tear off saran wrap. But that's what we need this time. So if you're going to join with me, you need a piece of saran wrap. And I think it was this brush. So it is a number 2. It's just got a little point to it right here. I'm just going to daub on some colors. So I know that if I put purple with yellow and they blend, it might make a little bit of a brown, but a little bit of brown's not going to bother me, and I love purple and yellow together. So for this one, I'm going to do some purples, and see how I'm just putting some dots there? Just daubing on some paint. And it'll stay dry, wet for a couple of minutes, which is good. So I might just be doing, for these cards, like 3 dots. Maybe there. Okay. Now I'm going to put a couple daubs of green someplace. So kind of like a triangle maybe of the color. Okay, we're going to kind of crumple this saran wrap. Now on each one of these, I'm just going to daub it. I'm going to smush it around. And if you're really brave, you can take the whole thing and just set it on the whole thing, which is what we're going to do with the wildflowers. Just get it smashed down pretty good. The less they look like blobs. What do you think? Do you love purple and yellow? I love it. All right, so we'll let that dry and I'll show you how we do our finishing touches. Let's do it now on our stripe. It's just gonna give you the confidence, hopefully, that you can make these Smoosh flowers and it's gonna look like we did a lot of hard work. So another color I like together is yellow and blue. So let's put some blue daubs. This one's nice and wet here, so I'm gonna use this blue. And I'm gonna keep doing kind of triangles. And I think we learn from every craft that we make. So because I did this and then built a card around it, I know a big salutation is gonna go in the middle. So I've learned kind of some better places to place my blobs. And I'm not worried that, I mean, it doesn't bother me that the salutation will cover these blobs. I just want enough blobs left over that whoever we give this to is going to have that idea. It's going to get the idea of what we were after. So I thought my brush was getting kind of wet based on how wet my greens are. And I'll tell you, I absolutely love this green down here. I'm going to have to reorder it. This is a Daniel Smith green. I think it's like under the sea, which is really weird, but I think it's a great leaf green. You don't always have to have two. Look, that one's running in together, but that's fine with me. They don't always have to be right beside each other, because all flowers are not exactly lined up, right? All leaves don't have the same exact. In fact, let's put 3 there. All right, I'm gonna open this big thing up again, crumple it a little bit. Whoops, maybe. Lay it down and smash. Lift up carefully and look at our smushy flowers. That one's just a big blob, that's okay. All right, so there's that one. Now this is getting a little dirty with other colors that I don't want to accidentally transfer. So I'm just gonna kind of rub it off with my paper towel. You could tear another one, but I've already talked about my tearing quality. All right, so with purple, I think I'll go with some pinks this time. And this is a nice bright pink. And again, I know my salutation's gonna go smack dab in the middle someplace. And then come back with my leaf color. Let's dry my brush a little bit because I've got a lot right there. That one's going to bleed in, which is fine. There we go. So I'm trying to remember to go a little bit away from the other pink blobs. Where to put my saran wrap? There it is. And I don't think I have a big enough piece to do the whole card base effectively with the block. So I'm just kind of crumpling it up in my fingers and pressing down. So there's our little smush blobs. Not Smoosh flowers. We've got one more stripe, then I think we'll be ready to do our landscape. All right, so what should I do with this one? We did pink and purple. Maybe I'll do blue and purple. seems to have quite a bit. I'm getting more confident, faster. So I've just kind of settled on 3 here while we're doing it. Maybe a hint of one down there, a hint of one up there, just one there. And I'm going to go with a brighter blue. What are your colors, Beverly? A brighter green, because I love this green with purple. And I'm staying way far away from these wet blobs of blue so that I don't have them run a lot. Oops, I'm starting bright. Let's see, right there and there, 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 there. All right, get that. I didn't clean this. I'm gonna live on the edge here and blot these down, just a smush. All right, and now I'm getting messy fingers, so we must be doing crafty art. Okay, let's do our landscapes. So I've got 2 of these. We'll do one and then the next one. And I'm going to do a variety of colors here. Looks like that's got a lot of green on that. I'm going to clean that off. Give me just a second. Lisa, welcome. I'm glad you could join too. I just took a look up. This will be recorded too, if you want to come back and do it. I'm going to add some pinks, just kind of along a couple different places. Let's add some orange. You're going to need a little bit more water with that one. And that's probably enough of colors for the flowers. And then we're going to add some green. Just a few blobs. We don't know what they're going to be yet. Find my saran wrap, which I probably really should have cleaned. But now we're just going along this edge, so I just kind of crumpled it. I'm going to lay it down. And then gently lift it up. And this will look like a meadow of flowers when it dries. We're going to add some finishing touches to it. Let's do it again. And I do need to wipe away some of this paint that's going to transfer and stay on the saran wrap. I think that's good enough. All right, let's do it again. And let's do yellow. See if that'll show up. Yeah, it should. Understanding that watercolor can always be reactivated. So my yellow could start to blend right in with my green grass or my blue sky. And I like yellow and pink, they're happy. I'm just gonna throw a couple of pink blobs. All right, and then again leaf, and I'm gonna go with my favorite color here. Just at random, a couple places. Take my saran wrap, crumple it up. I'm going to kind of lay it along this line of flowers. Press down, lift up. That's going to be flowers, believe it or not, like we really did heavy watercolor. All right? So, let me show you on these some finishing touches that can be done. We're going to let our landscapes dry and do their thing. And I think I need to move to a different brush. So give me just a second here. All right, I'm gonna stick with this guy that's small to do a few. This we did blue, and I don't remember what blue. I think think maybe this guy. So let's go to the guy next to it. I'm just gonna lay it down, see if I can add a few more petal details. Just adding another color. Now I'm getting kind of artsy. And we need to let that dry, so let's do that on the other one right here, because then we want to put a center in the middle of a dark color. All right, so that's that blue. I'm going to stick with this and just see if I can add. We're getting really fancy. So it kind of takes the creating pressure away when you just smush your foundation there. And, you know, when I do 4 or 5 at a time, I'm not going to love them all. And what's funny is many times you guys love ones that I don't necessarily like, and I like ones that you don't necessarily like. So again, let's let that dry, and we'll put the centers in the middle of those cute little flowers. We'll do the same thing with our pinks. I think I'll go in with this. What color is that? Yeah, kind of a dark red pink. I'll just put a couple of strokes. Doesn't have to be fancy. I'm just still laying it right back down. We'll let it dry and we'll put our centers in these flowers. Oh, let's see, I'll put that there. How are our, oh, can we do, we've done both stripes? Have we done both circles? I don't see my other circle. One circle. Oh, nope, here it is. All right, so we have that beautiful purple and yellow. Has to be my favorite color combo. I don't have a really light purple, so I'm gonna throw in this ready, kind of red pink. See how I feel about that. Yeah, it's blending nice. So again, I'm laying down the same brush and just adding, just lay in my brush so I can just grow that flower a little bit more. I got to tell you, the second time around, I've experienced the technique once. So like I said earlier, I think we get smarter as we do things. We learn from our experience. Hello, John, welcome. Okay, so now let's pick out one of our landscapes. I still don't think they're dry enough, so let's go back to one of my early guys here. If you wanted a bright center of your flower, you could get out like a paint pen. I'm just going to stick with watercolor, and I'm going to go with a dark color. And I think this is Payne's Gray. Let's see if that's dark enough. Dry enough. And I don't mind if it runs a little bit. But I don't want it to run out of control. So I'm just picking a place, any place, and throwing my dark center in there. And black is fine too. I just happen to have Payne's Gray, and I really like Payne's Gray. All right, see how those smushes have turned into more of a flower look? Definitely very wet. Let's see, I think I did this one before that one. It's still pretty wet. Yeah, this one's, I think, dry enough. I'm gonna stick with Payne's Gray. Maybe not dry enough. So I'm putting a smaller daub, considering the run factor. So we're just adding another layer on top of what we did last month with our stripes and our circles. This one just, it wants to be daintier, doesn't it? Just pick a place, throw your center in there. Can you see that? All right, here comes this one, still pretty wet. We're letting those landscapes get good and dry. Let's see. Ooh, nope. Okay, we'll let that dry for a minute. Take a drier brush. If you've got a blob with the center, pretty much our eye is going to turn it into a flower. All right, I think I've done, I see 2 circles. I don't see my other stripe. Up, way over here. Okay. Oh, but I already did it. Okay. So let's do our meadows. So now that I've got an indication of where my blob's going to go, I'm just going to add a few more daubs that I don't smush. See how it creates that kind of muted back? And I think this one, where's my other meadow? I don't think, okay, yeah, this was the yellow. So I'm going to go back and get some of my yellow. And now some dark. Need some more water in that. I think this needs to dry again before I put my center in. So let's get my other. This is orange and pink. I love orange and pink together. So I'm just going to throw some more bright colors on top. I mean, think about it. We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cards. So if you were doing just this one card for somebody, it would go together pretty darn quick. And then let's grab our orange again. All right, and let that dry. Okay, we'll come back with one that seems fairly dry. And I've got a different brush, and I can't, it's a round brush, but it's teeny, teeny, tiny. Can you see that? What's it called? Oh, better get my reading glasses on. It's 10/0. But so what I'm going to do now is take this brush into my paint, and I'm just, look, on paint, too watery. And I'm just going to give, this was a different green than I did, but that's fine. I think what I used was the olive. A few lines like they're leaves, right? So I'm just doing a center and then parentheses on both sides. And I'm not outlining the blobs, right? I'm just drawing a leaf someplace within those blobs. Ooh, a lot of paint on that one. Let's just take some paint from there. Nope, not even my own paint. You got a little smush there, so you might as well make a little leaf over there. All right, before we put this together as a card, we're going to let that dry. Cindy, it'll be recorded, so no problem. But it's a fun little technique. I hope you like it. So last month we drew lines and just kept it geometric or circles, right? No image on the top of it. And because this is going to show you guys, see where that little thing is there? I'm going to take this and just add a more defined petal. This is where my perfectionist comes out in me. But so see how we just smushed that paint with the saran wrap piece, and now it's got a blob, and we put a center in it and some leaves, and our eyes read flower. Okay, so let's do that again. We're letting our landscapes dry. And again, I've moved to this real teeny tiny. I did bright, so I'm going to go to this. Oh, let's go to this olive. I don't know what color I'm grabbing. Keep grabbing the wrong ones. It does not need to be perfect. In fact, I think if you try to be perfect, it doesn't come off as well. Isn't that nice? We don't have to be perfect. So these are, I just call them Smoosh Flowers, because we're smushing with a piece of saran wrap. This is such a tiny brush that it doesn't hold a lot of paint. You do have to keep returning to the paint well. And remember, I'm not outlining those smush greens. I'm just drawing something around them. I'm glad, Lisa. I hope you try it. All right, remember, we're going to have a sentiment in the middle there in just a minute. What can we do while I have to go off camera and iron these? It won't take long, but I don't know that you're going to hear me real well. And if you don't want to do this set with the watercolor, you can, maybe I already said that, you can use a paint pen and come back through. Whatever sounds fun. Oops, I missed that one. All right, I got one more down in this corner. And if doing it at home, you can have time, get your heat gun out and dry it in between. You don't have to try to work wet on wet. Yeah, right? Iron, we're gonna iron these babies. I heard it beep. I want to make sure it didn't turn off again. All right, I'm gonna make sure it keeps staying hot. It's right behind me, but let's see. I've done those details. This guy needs details. And then we'll do the meadow, which was the whole way I found this technique, was a meadow. Because as careful as you are, I mean, there are some tricks. Like I've heard if you wet watercolor paper on both sides, it'll help it unwrinkle. But it was Lindsay Ostrom that taught me that you can iron these. And I've been doing it ever since. Whoops, there's a big blob. How's that? Remember, just this line down the middle and kind of parentheses on both sides. Okay, I think I've got them all. There's no more postponing our little fields of flowers. So you want these to be a small line. I just lucked out and had this little pen. Little brush. If you don't, then feel free to get a pen. Yeah, I go lightly spritz, but it still never got perfect for me. If I'm framing a piece, that seems fine because it'll smash it down in the frame. You'll have to try it, Lynn. Okay. No more postponing. I'm just going to add like some leaves, some grass. Might give a hint of a stem. I think that's a lot. Maybe there's a little bush up there. All right. Big Smoosh is coming alive, isn't it? And for interest, because this is a meadow, there are a field of flowers, I'm going to throw a couple of different colors of green in there because it's not all one green, right? That looks like a cactus. All right. And I'm going to go back to my, you know what? I might stay with this little because these are much smaller flowers. I'm going to go to a dark color. I don't want a lot of water. I want as much watercolor paint as I can. I'm going to throw a couple of just little dots. And I'll bring it up close where you can see this better because I know these are teeny. So a blob and a dot's going to make your eye see flower. So there's my meadow. I do too, Lisa. Although I have two old, very old cotton shirts. In fact, I'm wearing one right now. I don't know if you can see. It's the softest fabric. And I can get 3 or 4 washes out of it without ironing. And then I just need to iron them. I've got one in a denim color and one in white. And I wear them all summer long. Because they're soft and cool. All right, so here's my little centers. I need to come in and put some grass in there. Isn't that so pretty? Just that little smush. All right, let's start with this. And I don't do them up all straight, right? Very abstract. We don't want to get hung up in details of a flower. All right. How about if I just pick one circle, one stripe, and one landscape? I'm going to go dry these and iron these, and we'll come back and I'll put them together, show you just how cute they can be for cards, okay? And then I can do the rest off camera. Okay, I'll be back. If you can hear me, I'm going to do these face down. My paint is on my washcloth. I just did one. I'm coming back to do the other two. All right. All three of these guys, I think, are dry enough. So I'm going to set this to the side. With watercolors, in case you didn't know, you should leave these open until the cake's dry rather than close them up. So I'm going to let those dry in the air. I should clean my fingers, or I'm going to transfer color onto a white card base. Here's our tool, our saran wrap. Okay. So I grabbed foils thinking I would be using the same watercolors. I didn't think through that very well. You can use glue. I'm going to use some score tape today. Let's see. I bet this will go okay with this hot pink foil. Yeah. So I'm going to lay this down. I think it's dry. And actually, I just looked at the time. We can do one score tape. I'll probably do the rest with glue, because glue is a speed tool. And because I'm a perfectionist, I think that this two-sided tape, if I cover most of my card base, I've laid it flat. I mean, I've ironed it, but it's still got a curve to it. And sometimes when I glue it, it's stubborn and it still wants to bow on me. So I have gone to adding tape on the whole thing. Which is a little cumbersome, but I want my cards to be received well. So I find things where I can take shortcuts, definitely, and then I find things where I want to take the extra time. So I've got some overhang here I'm going to cut with my scissors, which thank goodness I had a pair close to me before I peel that off. I'm just going to cut along my edge and clean that up. Okay, so now we said hot pink, right? Hot pink. No, I say hot pink to myself and then I pick up the wrong color and glue it down. I think, all right, that's how it's gonna be. Look at the color behind there. That's paint that the tape was picking up off my fingers. Whoops. All right, I know me and I need to stand up if I'm gonna have any chance of hitting this score tape centered. So bear with me here. And I don't have as much pink down there as I would have wanted. But we're going to let that go. So now I can use glue. You could pop this up if you wanted. I'm grabbing my glue. Just so that I don't have to cut my foam tape and peel it off on camera. I'm going to stick with glue for this one. I'm just sliding it into place. And then I have 3 sentiments ready to go someplace. Here we go. Let's see what fits here. So this is, I probably should have used black for the camera, but this is my favorite color. It's called Platinum. And I did cut out foam that's sold by Spellbinders. And now I'm going to use art glitter glue because I want it to grab a little bit better. Or I hope it does. Oh, I had a paper clip handy to clean that out because my stainless steel pins are long lost. And I know I can buy more. I do know that. But have I remembered at the moment? No. Okay. I don't want this to glob out, so I'm going to just wipe away that little extra. And there's a simple happy birthday card. I always have a hard time deciding what's straight on this font. All right, happy birthday. Let's do another one. So let's try the glue on this guy. And he does have teal, so this will be fine with that one. And if I'm careful, look, I'm just kind of bending it, getting that curve out because I'm going to use glue and go a little faster. I do not want glue to ooze out onto foil because it'll rub the foil pretty part right off of the paper. I do want to cover most of it so that this glue is going to grab these pockets of curve. But I am able to get it more easily centered up because there's a little grace in moving that paper. And I don't know if you know it, but the heat of your hand can help set your glue. So I'm just keeping my hands on this for a minute. I still think it'll be faster than score tape. Here's a card base. Let's put that glue on again. Oops, okay. Always have to make sure which way is it opening because I have glued things on upside down many a time. Okay, and then this guy, he can support sending lots of love, right? So let's use our art glitter glue that should still be unclogged. Yeah. And I'm going to kind of cover that guy up. There'll be a hint of the blue, but that's okay. I like that because that sentiment can go for so many things going on in somebody's life. Good or bad. Okay, last one. This is a whole one. The reason I wanted to do this demo, your Smoosh Flower Meadow. Okay, I'm kind of bending it. Adding my glue. Ooh, I think we did decide. Yep, it's got enough pink in it. Look at that, just like I planned this. You don't always have to back these in paper, another color. You can use just the watercolor paper on its own. That would be fine. I just added a little pizzazz because I like foil and glitter. But I don't like a lot of foil or a lot of glitter. See, this is not wanting to grab right there. I may have to let it go. Okay, I'm going to flip over and press. And I've got my last card base. it's opening in the right direction. We don't want an upside down meadow. And it looks like I've got the same sentiment left that I used on my last one, which is get well soon. Which kind of fit well, I thought. And it doesn't have to be centered up, but this one looks fine centered up. There you go. That is the original demo that I fell in love with and wanted to show you guys. Smoosh Flowers with saran wrap and blobs of color. Doesn't it look like we were fancy artists? And the saran wrap did that. And it gets even prettier as it completely dries, as that watercolor blends into your watercolor paper. Look at the sky. All we did was take a piece of Kleenex and daub it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try it and have some fun. And if you do, you can post it here. I'd love to see your cards, your versions. Everybody picks different color combos. And remember, my first time through making my demos, I didn't do as well. And not that these were perfect, but you learn from your experience. That's the story of life, right? All right, I'm going to sign off, clean up fast. I'll be right back here in about 5 minutes, and I'll show anybody who's interested in the items that I'll have available for sale. Our sale kicks off this upcoming Wednesday, which is just around the corner. All right, see you soon. Bye, everybody.